look at me as a white man and treat me that.
Understood. Listen, in terms of how we raise our kids right now, like this, and you'll segue and you'll lead the conversation, right? Yeah. But we had this whole thing, my wife and I, about how we chose not to use corporal punishment for a very specific reason. We grew up all, I'm sure, in a generation of like seen, not heard. Being a well-behaved child meant you knew how to mind your manners, you weren't speaking back to people, et cetera, et cetera. We wanted our kids to know that their voice had power, right? And that even though they may not always get their say in something, we will always let them be heard. And then we'll make the ultimate decision on it, right? And sort of like giving them permission to sort of take space is kind of like what I look at as white privilege. When I was at Stanford and I would see people go into office hours and do these things, I had this mindset of like, oh, don't bother the professor, they busy. Just go figure it out for yourself and take care of it. That's not what other people were doing. They were knocking on those doors, making sure they were finding mentorship and letting people know that like, I need help in developing those relationships. I want my kids to experience that same sort of thing. So what you're talking about, even though you're saying it comically, I know exactly what you mean.